Welcome to Bloomers in the Garden. I'm Len Schroeder, and I tell you what, first segment, we're going to talk about the biggest and most annoying question we get, and that's can you still plant trees and shrubs? It drives me crazy. Find out what the answer is in our first segment. And Vincent called from Paramus, and he has irises that didn't bloom this year after he thinned them out the following year. Hear about his irises in the second segment. And we're going to talk about pollinator and butterfly gardens, which focus on the flowers, but also on the fact that they're food for baby caterpillars. And it's a particular plant line from Centerton Nursery called Caterpillar Candy, baby food for butterflies. We'll tell you all about it in our third segment. And a listener to Bloomers in the Garden on Oldies 1250 WMTR called the hotline and had questions about Pachysandra, poison ivy, and pruning privet heads. I'll address her questions in our fourth segment. And finally, Sandy, who is Bloomers hard goods sales area supervisor, had something eating her hostas. There was a telltale sign of what it was, and we'll share with you what that is in our final segment. So stay tuned. We'll be back in the garden right after these messages.
Bloomers in the Garden is brought to you each week by Bloomers Home and Garden Center. Bloomers is an award-winning garden center just 20 minutes from Philadelphia. Bloomers has been providing expert advice turning brown thumbs green for over 30 years. At Bloomers, we want you to ask us every question, even if you think it's silly. We share information in a friendly, non-judgmental way that is meant to teach and spread the joy of gardening. Visit Bloomers Home and Garden Center in Washington Township, Gloucester County. For directions, go to bloomers.com, and we'll see you in the garden. Fertilome's Triple Action contains 70% neem oil and 0.25% pyrethrins as the concentrate and ready to spray. It is an insecticide, fungicide, and miticide labeled to use on vegetables, fruits, nuts, herbs, spices, and ornamentals. This organic OMRI-listed product controls a wide variety of insect pests and diseases, including aphids, scale, spider mites, whiteflies, rust, leaf spot, and powdery mildew. This insecticide is an all-in-one bottle that will cure just about any problem you may run into throughout the year. Fertilome's Triple Action has been helping gardeners across the country for years. Best to apply in late evening and early morning hours. Mix 1 ounce, which is equivalent to 2 tablespoons in a gallon of water. The best part is Triple Action may be used up to the day of harvest. So the next time you are visiting your favorite garden center, ask for Fertilome's Triple Action and expect to have the best-looking plants in the neighborhood.
You're listening to Bloomers in the Garden Radio. Listen anytime through your favorite podcast provider or see and hear us by subscribing to Bloomers YouTube channel. Bloomers in the Garden Radio is heard in Philadelphia and throughout the whole Delaware Valley every Saturday. First, wake up with us at 6 a.m. on WNWR The Word at 95.3 FM and 1540 AM. Tune in at 8 a.m. to Bloomers in the Garden Radio on Talk 860 WWDB. A rebroadcast of Bloomers in the Garden Radio is played each Saturday evening at 5 p.m. on The Word 95.3 FM and 1540 AM. On Sunday at 8 a.m., we can be heard throughout the New York tri-state area on Classic Oldies 1250 AM WMTR. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you in the garden. Welcome back to Bloomers in the Garden. So this week, I had a frustrating experience. A customer said to me, they were not going to plant arborvitae now because they missed the planting season. What? You're killing me, Smalls. Do you know what that movie's from? Anyone? No? Sandlot? Yeah, TJ got it. Very good. Killing me. Because if you planted today, right? So let's say you're going to plant today, or you planted in March, you're still going to water the plants that you planted in March the same way that you planted the ones today, or in July, or in August. You can plant at any time. You still have to take care of those plants. Don't think that it doesn't end. It doesn't end. The planting season for landscape plants continues on. The only thing that I would be concerned with is that you get to the point where the ground is frozen solid. At that point, you probably shouldn't plant because, quite frankly, the ice chunks of soil that you put back in will allow too much air pockets that'll kill the root system or hurt the root system. But in our areas, quite frankly, it doesn't stay frozen like that very long anymore. So it takes 2 years for your landscape trees or shrubs to become established. So if you planted, like say, for instance, because I wanted to plant them at the right time, I planted in March, you still have to water even next year because they're not fully established. So whether you plant in summer or whether you plant in fall or spring, they all have to be watered. So it's not something where there's a cutoff date. There are cutoff dates for like frost-free date, and that's something where it like opens the door for, after the frost-free date, you can plant tender plants, but not landscape plants. Quite frankly, if you can get them, you can plant them. There are some rules that you have to follow. Like you ever wonder why you're seeing so many trees that are in containers now? We're talking big containers, like 15, 25-gallon containers, which, is like a half of a bathtub. That those trees, some of them, like oaks, for instance, and birch, if they're out of the ground, you can put them in the ground at any time. But if you were going to dig them out of the ground like balled and burlap, and that you put burlap around the root system and you had to dig them out, they don't transplant well. Birches and oaks particularly do not do well if they're taken out of the ground in the fall. Most other plants are, but there's a handful that don't do well. So maybe that's where people get it confused. Oh, it's a problem then. But the fall is the greatest time to plant because we get the benefit of 2 rainy seasons. So you don't necessarily have to go out there and water so often, but not last year. We're going to talk about that in a little bit. So again, it's a misnomer that you can't plant anymore, or there is a time limit to planting a landscape or installing a landscape. I always think it's like, think about this. After the kids are out of school, you've got free labor. They may complain, that's the payment, but you still have help to do it, and they get to learn something, and it's something that can be done. And there's still a great selection of plant materials at your local garden centers. Plus, there's things that you didn't have in March, like grasses and lots of perennials. But there's, again, trees and shrubs. They can go in the ground. They just need to be kept watered. So does everything else. And if you planted it in March, you're still watering. So it doesn't matter when it goes in. But the fact that it has to be watered throughout the entire year and even into the second year to become established. So there is no time limit. So please get out there. If you want to install your landscape, go ahead. It is a great time to plant. It's always a great time to plant. And as long as you're dedicated to watering, whether it was put in March or was put in August, you still have to water. Those same plants, you still have to water. It's not like you get a pass. So anytime is fine to put in your landscape. So please don't be fooled to thinking that, because it's hot in the summer, I can't landscape. That is wrong because you are going to water no matter when they're put in. So don't be fooled. Don't be fooled. Plus, you get the advantage. There's summer sales always going on at the local garden center. So you may be able to save some money. Now, listen, here's a big deal. This was a huge deal. Bloomers guarantees their nursery stock. We have had a tremendous amount of replacements on certain types of plants because the fall of 2024's drought was so severe that there was no moisture in the root systems and therefore in throughout the plants of, for instance, arborvitae. If you look around, and I think we talked about this last week, if you look around and you see arborvitae hedges that have been around for decades, and they're 15-foot tall, and all of a sudden there's a section of half the plants are dead. That is from the drought that we had in the fall. There wasn't enough water to keep those plants over winter, and that the winter lack of humidity and the dryness has killed them for this spring. A lot of plants have suffered. We're going to talk to Vincent in a little bit, and then we're going to talk about iris. I believe that's a cause, but we'll talk about that in a segment coming up. But you make sure that you are watering all the way into the time when the ground is frozen on a regular basis. So we're talking on new plantings especially, we're talking all the way into the late November. Now, I know everyone who has a sprinkler system is like, oh my God, it's going to freeze and it's going to crack the pipes. And it might. So you're going to have to use a hose and you're going to have to suck it up, and it may be a little bit more difficult. But without it, you're going to lose the plants.
You know what I noticed last year? That was my first season, I guess, watering all the way into, I guess, early December.
Yeah.
And this season, my arborvitae are so much more green at the beginning of the season.
Yeah.
Right. And so as it started, the foliage started, opening up and the weather started getting better, I noticed like more of a darker hunter kind of green color. Yeah. So I definitely touched that.
Nope. Like sometimes they shed and they look really bad.
And they can be brown towards the base, towards the edges. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, definitely. And it's something that people, just because they feel the temperatures are cooler. Oh, it's cold. It's, that doesn't matter. It's the moisture in the ground that matters. The temperature, just because it's cool, does not mean that there's moisture in the soil. So you still have to water. You may not have to water as often, but you still have to water. It's an important thing. Again, when temperatures get regularly below freezing, you're pretty much done. And that's not until we get to December. And you need to keep things hydrated. It's never been a better demonstration this year than on all of it's Leyland cypresses, arborvitaes, and it's always hedges. There's no way somebody's going to find a 12-foot arborvitae that's going to match up to the parts of that hedge that lived. And because, for one, it's just like, oh, yeah, they're, $800. Okay, never mind. We'll figure it out. But again, you make sure you're watering all the way through. So can you still plant? Absolutely. Can I plant in August? Yes. September? Yes. July? Yes. You just have to keep things watered. You were going to have to water the stuff anyway if you got it planted in March or February or April. You're still watering it. Now that you are planting it this time of the year, you still have to water it. You still have to water it. I tell you, get out there, landscape, go to your local garden center this weekend, see what deals they've got. It's Father's Day. Buy Dad a tree and plant a tree. We'll be back in the garden right after this. Hi, this is Len Schroeder from Bloomers in the Garden. Do you have a landscape, garden, or plant question? If so, call or text us using the Bloomers in the Garden hotline. Dial 609-685-1880. That's 609-685-1880. Don't be shy. We want to hear from you. Call or text us and let us know what problems you're facing. Let us know how we're doing. Call or text 609-685-1880. If we use your comment on the air, we'll send you a free Bloomers t-shirt. Call or text us at 609-685-1880. That's 609-685-1880. And we'll see you in the garden. Wanting to up your game in the vegetable garden? With 90 years of organic gardening experience, the Espoma Company has you covered. Espoma Organic Garden Tone is not your average garden variety fertilizer. Garden Tone is especially blended for organic vegetable gardens. Its all-natural formula contains Biotone, a blend of organic ingredients that supplies essential nutrients for strong, healthy plants and mouth-watering vegetables. Its slow-release formula provides continuous feeding. The Biotone contained in Garden Tone is a combination of organic ingredients and beneficial microbes to help roots grow deeper and faster for bigger, more bountiful harvests. Garden Tone is simple to use and safe for people, pets, and the planet. No harmful chemicals or synthetic fertilizers are ever added. You can find Garden Tone at fine garden centers. Visit espoma.com to find a retailer near you. Garden Tone from Espoma, a natural in the garden since 1929.
If you're like me, then you absolutely love birds. The Bird Sanctuary at Bloomer's Home and Garden Center has you covered. They're dedicated to the care and feeding of wild birds of all sorts. Want to bring more birds to your yard? Then you got to see this place. Bloomers has a huge flock of feeders, birdhouses, birdseed, and much, much more. Want to feed the birds and not the squirrels? They have this absolutely cool bronze bird feeder that will drive those sneaky squirrels nuts. They'll be moving to the next door neighbor in no time. OMG. Bloomers have these absolutely adorable birdhouses that will turn your yard into the perfect bird B&B. They carry all types of wild bird seed, suet, seed cakes, and mealworms. Bloomer stocks, Lyric, Coles, CNS, Pine Tree Farms, and much, much more that will keep those beautiful birds coming back for more. Bloomer's Home and Garden Center is located in Washington Township in Gloucester County. For more information and directions, check them out on the web at bloomers.com. Bloomer's Home and Garden Center, you got to see this place.
Welcome back to Bloomers in the Garden. Vincent is a listener and a caller from Paramus, New Jersey, and he called the hotline and has a lot of iris, but this year they didn't bloom. And I mean, he has a lot of iris, not just, a few scattered here and there. Here, listen to his call.
Good afternoon, Len. Garden question. Irises. Had them for a good 15 years. Bloomed every year. Beautiful. Maybe a row of like 25 feet, like a driveway flower bed. So last year, me and my wife decided to thin them out because people say you have to thin out the base of the iris flower plant, and we did. And this year, the leaves are growing beautiful green, but not one of them produced a flower or the center shoot. That's the stem of the flower, and I have it in 3 different locations in the yard, and not one of them produced a flower at the different locations. Ironically, whatever I thinned out, I gave to a friend, and he just pressed them in the ground very gently without even going through any big amount of ordeal, effort, and he said they bloomed. Would you know what is occurring? I'm in Paramus, New Jersey, and he is in Hillsdale, New Jersey, which is only 5, 8, 9 miles away, but I don't see anybody else having the problem with not blooming it. Already, thank you very much.
Vincent did everything right. Okay, so they call failure to bloom is a diminished bloom in iris, and it's usually a symptom of overcrowding. So you're supposed to divide your iris every 3 to 4 years to open it up, give them elbow room so that they grow. He did that. Now, again, I go back to the dry fall. when we think about flowering for the next year, like for instance, if you go to trim your azaleas in the fall, you're cutting off all of next year's flowers. So those flowers are being formed in the previous year. And that the best time to trim azaleas, just saying, is right after they bloom. Because if you wait too long, you're cutting off all the flowers. Now, if we go through a severe fall drought, it can kill those flower buds. And we've seen it dogwoods. It'll happen on dogwoods where they'll have those nice little balls at the end of the branch that are the flower buds that are supposed to flower for next year, but the drought was so bad that they actually dried up and they could not flower. That happens. And I think that it's the reason why Vincent's iris didn't grow. Vincent told me he has a big section, 25 foot long, along his driveway. He's not a beginner, and he knows what to do. But the perplexity of why his regularly flowering and how come they weren't doing better because he divided them, it's got him perplexed. And it's got to do with the drought. I've heard once in a while, like after you divide them, it's a light flowering. But the other question is, well, how come his buddy who he gave the divisions to, and I'll tell you why, because he planted them. They were newly planted. So I've got to water these things to keep them alive. And guess what got watered during the fall is probably his buddy's iris. So they had enough moisture in the plant to produce the buds and save the buds and be able to blossom this year.
Vincent, that's what you get, man, for trying to be nice to your friend, man. You should have kept on.
Yeah, he's showing you up. Hey, you went to school in Montclair.
Yeah.
Did you ever go to there's the Iris Gardens in Montclair?
I've never been there, up in Montclair. However, I've passed by there a few times.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's a pretty amazing place.
As an adult, I might make that trip.
Yeah, you wouldn't do it like, when you're
in high
your
school.
teens.
No,
and
not at all. I wouldn't think about
it's a great date night. I don't
think
know.
about no plan. Date night was Essex Green Mall. That's what we did. All right.
Sorry to say.
But Vincent, thank you very much for that, man. For sure.
Going to Willowbrook. Then if you had money, you went to...
Short Hills. Livingston and Short Hills Mall.
Short Hills. Well, that's when you had real money.
Yeah, right.
Or you went to Garden State Plaza.
Oh, man.
Right? They have a bird dog store there.
Right.
Just saying. Anyway.
But Vincent, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
But Vincent, to your point, I noticed that also with my daylilies. I divided them, and obviously this isn't an iris, but mine didn't bloom. Yeah, it's very similar, but I had issues also, and I think it is because of the drought. To Lynn's point, it didn't come back. I divided
Plants
them.
are alive, right?
They are alive, yes. But this year it didn't. It didn't. It usually comes in bloom right about now.
Yeah,
and
I noticed that there's a lot of plants that normally we can get. Like for instance, a lot of our customers are asking for echinacea or coneflower. Coneflower's just not ready. Season is a little bit different, and we have to deal with the cool temperatures that we had in the spring, not producing the buds for the echinacea. But the iris issue has to do with the fact that they did not form flower buds, and that has to do more with the drought in the fall. So again, you did everything right. What I would do is feed the heck out of them, treat them for borers. There's a specific borer that gets into iris and can wipe them out. So I would just treat them with that systemic that will control the borer, and then just keep them hydrated. You should be back in blossoms next spring without any problem. I really think so, because again, you're going to get the benefit of dividing them next year as opposed to you didn't get it this spring. So hang tight, feed them, treat them for borers, and then keep them hydrated all the way through into, after we get our, second killing frost. There's one thing that people don't realize. That after plants lose their leaves, like you have deciduous shrubs, and that means the plants lose their leaves. Even though the leaves are off of them, their roots are still actively growing, and they put on more root mass in the fall than at any time of year. So don't think just because they look like they've gone dormant on the top, that they're dormant on the bottom, because they aren't. Those roots are growing. So when we get pretty, maples that are turning colors, it's not that they're done. They're just done with being able to produce enough food through their foliage, but their roots are growing. So keep watering till late in the season. Don't quit. All right. Well, Vincent, it was great to talk to you. It was nice to talk to you. I talked to him actually this morning. So we will be back in the garden with pollinators right after this. Hi, this is Len Schroeder from Bloomers in the Garden. Do you have a landscape, garden, or plant question? If so, call or text us using the Bloomers in the Garden hotline. Dial 609-685-1880. That's 609-685-1880. Don't be shy. We want to hear from you. Call or text us and let us know what problems you're facing. Let us know how we're doing. Call or text 609-685-1880. If we use your comment on the air, we'll send you a free Bloomers t-shirt. Call or text us at 609-685-1880. That's 609-685-1880. And we'll see you in the garden. We are proud to announce that Bloomers in the Garden has partnered with Renewal by Andersen of Greater Philadelphia, Delaware, South Jersey, and Southern Maryland. Renewal by Andersen is the top window and door company in the United States, specializing in replacement windows and doors. You might be thinking right now, what the heck do windows have to do with gardening? Well, Renewal by Andersen makes this beautiful garden bay window that's energy efficient and made from recycled materials. It's perfect for growing the finest indoor plants possible. When you are looking out your windows filled with plants in your beautiful garden, you don't want to see old windows that are cloudy, warped, or even rotting. That's why people in the horticulture community love Renewal by Andersen. Not only do we want our gardens to be beautiful, but their homes as well. Renewal by Andersen participates in horticultural events such as flower shows, earth days, and eco fairs. To get more information and set up a free home consultation, please visit www.philadelphiawindow.com and be sure to tell them Bloomers in the Garden sent you.
Is she gone?
Nope, she's still standing there.
What is she doing?
I think she's watching the grass grow.
That's our job.
I know, right? She's watching the grass grow, the flowers grow. Ooh, look, the trees are growing.
Can't say as I blame her. Remember where she bought all this stuff?
Duh, bought us there too.
Bloomers Home and Garden Center. Find us online at bloomers.com.
Welcome back to Bloomers in the Garden. So, Pollinators Month, it's June. So, we're going to talk about pollen. Everybody talks about like the bees and the butterflies and the things that come to your flowers. But the one thing we often forget and that's overlooked is like, okay, why are they coming to visit all of these plants? Well, a lot of those butterflies are looking for a place to start the next generation. And that means they're laying eggs on top of those plants and that those caterpillars are going to hatch. Centerton Nursery brilliantly has understood this, and that they have designed, basically it's a collection of plants that attract specific butterflies, and that it's called caterpillar candy. So let's think, like we most people who know about pollinators, so monarch butterflies feed off of milkweed, and that's their primary source of food. And that the reason for that is that it makes them poisonous to other predators, so they know to stay away. That's why, we sell a ton of milkweed. And there's also like parsley, for instance. Parsley will feed swallowtails. Now, there are different types, but there are some butterflies that actually look like moths. Some aren't so pretty. Some are pretty. But what happens is you've got to feed the right plant to get the right plant, the right butterfly. Like Queen Anne's lace has always been a weed to me, but it's actually pretty, where it has great big white flat flowers that the butterflies can land on, and that they can lay their eggs on those plants, and that the one thing that they attract, to me, it's probably, I'm not sure if it's the tiger swallowtail, which is the great big yellow butterfly with the black dots along the edge of it, the bottom of its wings, or is it the actual black version? But black swallowtails, they have a blue dots along the base of their tail. These are big, 3 to 4 inches across. And that Queen Anne's lace is one of those ones that attract black swallowtails. Now, you've seen black swallowtails hovering over your parsley. Well, they're not admiring your herb garden. They're laying their eggs. And then all of a sudden, a week or two later, you're noticing that half of your parsley's gone because these caterpillars ate it. You've got to decide what you're going to do. Are you going to try to get rid of, it's just a nice way of putting it, get rid of the caterpillars because they at that point are an insect pest? Or are you going to let them go and form chrysalids and become butterflies? I know, it's tough. It's hard being I guess, what are we, the master predator or the supreme predator?
Top dogs.
Yeah, that's it.
Until the top dog comes along, right?
Yeah, well, we'll see. Yeah, that's what all those robots were creating all of a sudden. I've seen those movies. Let's see, what else do we have? That there are, again, they have, let me see, I'm trying to count here. Like, for instance, dill is another one for black swallowtails. There is, let's see, Rudbeckia, black-eyed Susan. Okay. There's a number of butterflies that are attracted to that. Rue is a giant swallowtail. And each plant has a tag with it that, I don't know, if you were watching us on YouTube, and please, I would like everyone to go to YouTube, just go ahead and do a search, Bloomers in the Garden. And you'll find us, and all of our episodes are recorded so that you can see us and that you can subscribe. And I want you to subscribe. Please subscribe, because that way you're getting the latest content. And not all of, we're not necessarily an hour long. It's usually per segment. So you don't have to, carve out an hour's long worth of time unless you want to. But you'll be able to see the caterpillar candy tags and plants and such that we actually have, and that what it attracts. Okay. It is probably about 15 different types of plants. Most are perennial. Some are not, but most are perennial. And it all is associated with feeding baby butterflies, which are caterpillars. And I find it kind of ironic because half the time as a owner of a garden center, we're trying to figure out how to, stop insects or from devouring plants like my fruit trees. Like, for instance, how do you keep, insects and disease off of fruit trees or vegetables or anything, roses, where this is one where you're growing the plant so that it can feed and be eaten. Anyway. Description of a weed. A description of a weed is any plant in the wrong spot. Now, I guess, this an insect problem is an insect that's in the wrong spot. So if it's eating your herb garden, it's in the wrong spot. So then it's a pest. If it's eating the caterpillar candy that you planted for it, it's not. And
that's what's bugging you.
Yeah.
Shouts out to our producer, TJ.
That's right. I don't know, but I tell you what, it is a different way of thinking. And I love the fact that they are proactive in doing it because it solves a problem. And a lot of the plants, some of the plants that are in that collection are natives. So those of you that are like natives, there you go. There you go. Again, it's called Caterpillar Candy, and that is by Centerton Nursery. It it's going to be fun. If you've got kids, if you've got young kids, it's a winner. It's a winner. It's fun, and I would, don't plant them right next to your vegetable garden. Try to pick a different section or to plant them somewhere else, even if it's like in a landscape environment, because again, it's not going to really, like most caterpillars, that they are host specific. So those butterflies are going to lay eggs on these plants because they're the plants that sustain the next generation. So caterpillar candy, look at your local garden center. You can even probably find a dealer listing on the Centerton Nursery site. So do some work. If you want to call the hotline, you can do that. We'll help you out. That telephone number is 609-685-1880. But go to YouTube and subscribe. We'll be back in the garden right after this. Hi, this is Len Schroeder from Bloomers in the Garden. Do you have a landscape, garden, or plant question? If so, call or text us using the Bloomers in the Garden hotline. Dial 609-685-1880. That's 609-685-1880. Don't be shy. We want to hear from you. Call or text us and let us know what problems you're facing. Let us know how we're doing. Call or text 609-685-1880. If we use your comment on the air, we'll send you a free Bloomers t-shirt. Call or text us at 609-685-1880. That's 609-685-1880. And we'll see you in the garden.
Fertilome's Triple Action contains 70% neem oil and 0.25% pyrethrins as a concentrate and ready to spray. It is an insecticide, fungicide, and miticide labeled to use on vegetables, fruits, nuts, herbs, spices, and ornamentals. This organic OMRI-listed product controls a wide variety of insect pests and diseases, including aphids, scale, spider mites, whiteflies, rust, leaf spot, and powdery mildew. This insecticide is an all-in-one bottle that will cure just about any problem you may run into throughout the year. Fertilome's Triple Action has been helping gardeners across the country for years. Best to apply in late evening and early morning hours. Mix 1 ounce, which is equivalent to 2 tablespoons in a gallon of water. The best part is Triple Action may be used up to the day of harvest. So the next time you are visiting your favorite garden center, ask for Fertilome's Triple Action and expect to have the best-looking plants in the neighborhood.
If you're looking for a specific potting soil for your house plants, rather than just a generic professional potting soil that sometimes, let's just say, it can be a little soggy, the Cape Netic Blend Organic and Natural Indoor Houseplant Mix from Coast of Maine is what you're looking for. It's specially formulated for indoor houseplants and flowers using a coarse coconut core, that's important, perlite and aged bark to optimize drainage and aeration for robust root development. The coconut core is what true gardeners and professionals are looking to replace some of the peat moss that are in most potting soil blends. It adds a little more air around the root system without having it dry out. The peat sometimes gets a little wet. Do you have any fungus gnats flying around? That happens too. So if you've got the coconut core in your mix, it's something that's going to be better certainly for indoor houseplants. So whether you're growing peace lilies, spider plants, philodendrons, monsteras, or other popular or exotic houseplants, this unique compost-free blend provides the optimum structure and benefits for nurturing strong, beautiful indoor plants. And again, that's the Cape Netic Blend Indoor Houseplant Mix by Coast of Maine. Look for it at your local garden center. Welcome back to Bloomers in the Garden. So we received a call from a listener who listens to us on Oldies 1250 WMTR. That's broadcasted from northern New Jersey. Let's see, it gets New York City, parts of, let's see.
Southern Connecticut.
Yeah.
Yep. Some parts of eastern Pennsylvania as well.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. As well as parts of Long Island and Staten Island as well. So they had a question about Pachysandra, about poison ivy, and about privet hedges. But they weren't necessarily questions, but I think I know what the questions were behind the call. So here you go. Listen to it.
Hi, how are you? I listened to your show yesterday on 1250, and I have a few questions. I was wondering if you can give me a call back. I have a large property, and I'm having a problem with Pachysandra and poison ivy, and also some questions about trimming down privet hedges. If you can give me a call, I'd appreciate it. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Well, I know what she has. I'm pretty sure that her problem with Pachysandra and poison ivy is that the poison ivy is growing in the Pachysandra. And if you are watching this on YouTube, please subscribe. That I have a poison ivy killer. It won't kill grass, but it will kill Pachysandra. So you can't use this spray. And I have bad news that you're going to have to get on your hazmat suit and get in there and pull it out. And look, I'm not kidding. I mean, long sleeves, long gloves, protect all of your skin. And you need to pull it out by hand, put it in a trash bag immediately. And that's really the only way. And then right after you're done, there's a product that's out there called Tecnu, Tecnu, and it is a poison ivy and oak scrub. Get in the shower, wipe down your arms, scrub your arms up, scrub all over to get rid of those oils. Because what happens is that the poison ivy, or poison oak for that matter, that it has the oils that get on your skin. That is what we're allergic to. And some lucky people aren't allergic to poison ivy, but I know I am. That if it gets on you, you need to use this right away. This was actually developed by tree guys, people that you'll see people up and cutting down trees. There's ancient old poison ivy that will grow up trees, and the trunks of poison ivy can get really, really thick. And that it'll be up into the tops of the trees. And when they cut it down, they'd get covered with poison ivy. And they developed this so that they can get rid of that oil that sticks to them so they don't contract poison ivy. So unfortunately, the only way to really get rid of it is pulling it out. And you do your best to pull it out by the roots. If it breaks off, it's still going to come back. Now, make sure you're not getting it confused with Virginia creeper. Virginia creeper has 5 leaves. And poison ivy, the old saying, leaves of 3, let it be. And that they look similar. And a lot of times they're growing next to one another. If it's Virginia creeper, that you can pull out that by hand without worrying about anything. But make sure it is not poison ivy. Let's see. I one of the things about the Tecnu thing is where there's a quote about hikers that would go out and they would always they're real sensitive to poison ivy, and that it's on their reviews where it says how it has changed their life and what they do. Now, privet hedge it's an old plant. I mean, privet hedge. I can remember back when I was a kid, we used to sell it bare root, and that you used to buy it by the bundle, and you would just put it in and it would grow. And it's a great plant, but cutting it, it's usually the best time to trim it is in July. But if you want to trim it, you've got to keep the base wider than the top so that it gets enough sunlight through it so it stays green. If you don't, if you try to make it like a cone shape or something along those lines where the top is wider than the bottom, it's going to all die out at the bottom. So try to keep it that pyramidal shape so that it's getting the sunlight through it. And it could be a squared off pyramidal, but the whole point is keeping the bottom wider at the base. You can do it at any time. It likes sun, and that it's one of those things where when you look at usually old movies where they have a hedge made, a lot of time it's privet hedge. So very forgiving. I wouldn't be too concerned about it. Don't be worried. You doing it in July is like right between the two growing seasons. So when you get your first flush of growth, and then it goes in, that new growth becomes the same color as the old growth, that's when you should trim it. Because right after that is when the next growth cycle starts. So you're going to get two growth cycles out of that. And the second growth cycle is after that July timing. So think of it July 15th. Get out there, prune your privet. And that, again, you want to keep it so that it's wider at the base so that it gets that sun. They're very forgiving. They're very forgiving, and that they're easy to take care of. Just go ahead and prune them. You don't have much to worry about. We'll be back in the garden right after this. Hi, this is Len Schroeder from Bloomers in the Garden. Do you have a landscape, garden, or plant question? If so, call or text us using the Bloomers in the Garden hotline. Dial 609-685-1880. That's 609-685-1880. Don't be shy. We want to hear from you. Call or text us and let us know what problems you're facing. Let us know how we're doing. Call or text 609-685-1880. If we use your comment on the air, we'll send you a free Bloomers t-shirt. Call or text us at 609-685-1880. That's 609-685-1880. And we'll see you in the garden. Wanting to up your game in the vegetable garden? With 90 years of organic gardening experience, the Espoma Company has you covered. Espoma Organic Garden Tone is not your average garden variety fertilizer. Garden Tone is especially blended for organic vegetable gardens. Its all-natural formula contains Biotone, a blend of organic ingredients that supplies essential nutrients for strong, healthy plants and mouth-watering vegetables. Its slow-release formula provides continuous feeding. The Biotone contained in Garden Tone is a combination of organic ingredients and beneficial microbes to help roots grow deeper and faster for bigger, more bountiful harvests. Garden Tone is simple to use and safe for people, pets, and the planet. No harmful chemicals or synthetic fertilizers are ever added. You can find Garden Tone at fine garden centers. Visit espoma.com to find a retailer near you. Garden Tone from Espoma. A natural in the garden since 1929. Your next houseplant is waiting for you in Bloomers Home and Garden Center's greenhouse. Bloomers recognizes that houseplant choices are as important to your interior decorating as the fabric on your couch. The right plant, paired with the perfect container, can bring a dynamic change to your home. A houseplant brings life to your world and connects your home's interior to the greater outdoors. Even a small succulent placed on your coffee table has a way of connecting your living room to the Amazon rainforest. How about an air plant in your kitchen? Looking for an indoor flowering plant to add color to your plant palette? Bloomers has a large revolving assortment of flowering beauties. From aglaonemas to ZZ plants, Bloomers Greenhouse is stocked with your next favorite indoor plant. Bloomers carries a large selection of pottery and containers to match your home's decor and make any of your plants more beautiful. Bloomers experts can help you care for your plants and have the fertilizer, insecticides, leaf shine, and specialty soils you need to grow healthy and happy indoor plants. Visit Bloomers Home and Garden Center's greenhouse and make every room in your home a living room. Visit bloomers.com for more information. That's bloomers.com, and we'll see you in the garden. Welcome back to Bloomers in the Garden. So Sandy Martino is Bloomers' longest tenured supervisor and mentioned to me that rabbits had found her hosta. And she said the tops were shredded. She had a much larger problem, like 100 pounds larger. Shredded tops is a sign of deer damage. They bend down and they go to eat the plant and then pull their head up, and it shreds the leaves off in their teeth. So the leaves look shredded. If it was a rabbit, there would have been a cleaner cut, and it would have been like nibbled down to the crown. The good news is the solution will deter both deer and rabbits. So it's the same type of active ingredients, and it's all pretty much an organic solution. But you have to remember to make it work, all repellents, and I don't care if you're trying to get rid of rabbits or dogs or cats or moles, you need to modify the behavior. So you're now an animal trainer. That's right. You've got to modify their behavior. So let's talk first. There are granulars. Like, for instance, on YouTube in the studio, if you look, we have a Bonide product called Go Away Deer and Rabbit Repellent Granules. Now, this says that it will last for, let me double check here. It says for 2 months under normal conditions. Well, what's normal? I would apply it every month, and that it's going to work, but it's at the base of the plant. It's not really on the plant. So if you can tell by my voice, I'm not a huge fan, because I think liquids work better. Now, we have Repelzol also with us by that's Bonide, and it is a far-reaching. I think it says on here will repel armadillos. I think it will. And the active ingredients are, first of all, whole egg solids. You ever smell rotten eggs? Well, this is pretty close. It's got cloves and garlic oil. And that's what it sends a flight response. So when the animal detects it and smells it, it wants to run away. And the whole idea, again, we're modifying the behavior of the animal so they associate your plants with that smell and therefore go eat your neighbor's plants. Again, repetition. You have to reapply it. And that I suggest, and we saw this, and that it was from the great Alan Armitage, Dr. Armitage, where he had a deer repellent in his garden where he just left it. He left the bottle there, and it was just like this one that we have in the studio. And again, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. And that if he would just pick it up, and whenever he walked by, just spray the plants rather than leave it in the shed or the garage. I'll have to go back to the garage to go get it, and then you forget, and then guess what? You have deer and rabbits and all kinds of pests eating your plants. So again, Repelzol is a liquid. It will coat the plants without hurting the plants. It is all organic. It's very safe, and that you need to reapply it because you have to change the animal's behavior. And anybody who's had a puppy knows that that can be difficult. You just have to be consistent, and basically consistent more often. So again, make sure you use it, but it's not going to work, one and done. This isn't one time you're going to spray it. There are all different types of repellents out there. We like Bonide's brand the best, but there are also some that are specific. Like, for instance, they're like goose repellent is made from I believe it's grape seeds. Who knew? Geese didn't like grapes. I don't know. But the thing is you also have to reuse it. And I would think that if you look at the active ingredient, mixing it up once in a while. So not only just keep using the same one, that they get so used to it that it doesn't really faze them anymore, but that you maybe switch it up. Once you run out of the bottle that you have, switch to a different active ingredient and use that one. So it kind of keeps the deer and the rabbit and the other animal pests off balance. The granule has castor oil in it, and castor oil kind of messes with their food source. That's why it's always in the mole products. Now, the one that's for deer and rabbits has the exact same active ingredient as the liquid, but it's sprayed onto a granular form, so it can get down to the plants, and it supposedly lasts longer. It's not going to last 2 months, especially if we have like downpours like we've had this past week. It's going to last for maybe a month, but it's not going to hurt your plants. So if you do both, you want to get rid of them because you want to save your hostas, for instance. If you've got questions about repelling moles, chipmunks, any of our woodland creatures, call that hotline. That's 609-685-1880, and we'll help you out. We'll be back in the garden right after this. Hi, this is Len Schroeder from Bloomers in the Garden. Do you have a landscape, garden, or plant question? If so, call or text us using the Bloomers in the Garden hotline. Dial 609-685-1880. That's 609-685-1880. Don't be shy. We want to hear from you. Call or text us and let us know what problems you're facing. Let us know how we're doing. Call or text 609-685-1880. If we use your comment on the air, we'll send you a free Bloomers t-shirt. Call or text us at 609-685-1880. That's 609-685-1880. And we'll see you in the garden. Coast of Maine's Organic Castine Blend Organic Raised Bed Mix is the best soil for raised bed gardens, planter boxes, and container gardens. It grows amazing vegetables. It is made with a mixture of manure compost, worm castings, lobster and kelp meal, mycorrhiza, green sand, and biochar. It's ready to use straight out of the bag with no need for additional components or tilling. If you love growing fresh and hearty vegetables, herbs, and flowers, Coast of Maine's Castine Blend Organic Raised Bed Mix is the perfect choice for you. At Coast of Maine, we believe in growing organically and buying locally. You're listening to Bloomers in the Garden Radio. Listen anytime through your favorite podcast provider or see and hear us by subscribing to Bloomers YouTube channel. Bloomers in the Garden Radio is heard in Philadelphia and throughout the whole Delaware Valley every Saturday. First, wake up with us at 6 a.m. on WMTR The Word at 95.3 FM and 1540 AM. Tune in at 8 a.m. to Bloomers in the Garden Radio on Talk 860 WWDB. A rebroadcast of Bloomers in the Garden Radio is played each Saturday evening at 5 p.m. on The Word, 95.3 FM and 1540 AM. On Sunday at 8 a.m., we can be heard throughout the New York tri-state area on Classic Oldies, 1250 AM WMTR. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you in the garden. Welcome back to Bloomers in the Garden. So today we talked about a lot of different things. Vincent's iris, he did everything right, but the dry fall. Keep watering, everybody. Keep watering your plants, even your established plants. And then also repellents. You want to start using repellents now because their deer are ravaging everything. And again, make sure you go to our YouTube channel and subscribe. We'll see you next week right here in the garden.